The ceramic plate shattered against the wall, missing Jasmine's head by inches. She flinched, her body already conditioned to anticipate the next move. Victor's face was contorted with rage, his expensive suit jacket discarded on the floor, tie loosened around his neck like a noose waiting to tighten. "You think you can embarrass me like that?" His voice was low, dangerous. Smiling at that waiter like some kind of... "I was just being polite," Jasmine whispered, her back pressed against the kitchen counter. Her hands trembled as she reached for her phone in her pocket, a lifeline she'd learned to keep close. "Polite?" Victor laughed, the sound devoid of humor. "You were flirting, right in front of me, in front of my colleagues." It had been another business dinner, another night of Jasmine playing the perfect wife. She'd smiled when expected, laughed at unfunny jokes, and yes, she'd thanked the waiter when he refilled her water. That simple act of courtesy had been enough to trigger Victor's jealousy. The first blow came fast. His hand connected with her cheek, the sharp crack echoing in their upscale downtown loft. Jasmine's head snapped to the side, tears springing to her eyes more from shock than pain. She'd learned to disconnect during these moments, to float somewhere above her body where his fists couldn't reach. When Victor finally tired himself out, he straightened his tie, ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair, and walked to the bedroom without another word. This was the pattern, the explosion, the violence, then the cold silence. Tomorrow he'd bring her flowers and apologize. The day after that, he'd find another reason to explode. Jasmine slid down the wall onto the cool tile floor, her entire body shaking. Blood trickled from her split lip, and she could already feel her cheek swelling. She pulled out her phone with trembling fingers, squinting through tears at the screen. She needed to reach someone, anyone. Her sister Keisha had told her to call any time, day or night. Through blurred vision and shaking hands, Jasmine typed out the message. "He beat me again. I don't know how much more I can take. Please help me." She hit send and waited, drawing her knees up to her chest. The apartment was silent except for the sound of the shower running in the bathroom. Victor was washing away the evidence of what he'd done, as if soap and water could cleanse him of his sins. Her phone buzzed. Jasmine looked down, expecting words of comfort from her sister. Instead, she saw an unfamiliar response. "Who is this? Are you in immediate danger?" Jasmine's heart sank. She looked at the number she'd sent the message to, and horror washed over her. She'd transposed 2 digits. This wasn't Keisha's number. She'd sent her most vulnerable moment to a complete stranger. "I'm so sorry," she typed quickly. "Wrong number. Please delete that message." The response came almost immediately. "If someone is hurting you, you need help. Where are you?" "It's fine. I made a mistake. Please forget you saw this." There was a longer pause this time. Jasmine wiped the blood from her lip with the back of her hand, trying to quiet her ragged breathing. The shower had stopped. She needed to clean up the broken plate before Victor came back out. Her phone buzzed again. "I don't forget things like this. And I don't ignore people who need help." Jasmine stared at the message, something in those words striking a chord deep in her chest. When was the last time someone had offered help without judgment? Without asking what she'd done to provoke him? Without suggesting she just leave, as if it were that simple? But this was a stranger. Probably just someone being kind before moving on with their life. She started to type another apology when the bedroom door opened. Victor emerged, hair damp, wearing fresh clothes. He looked calm now, almost serene. That was somehow worse than the anger. "Clean up this mess," he said, gesturing at the broken plate. "And put some ice on your face. We have brunch with my parents tomorrow, and I need you presentable." He grabbed his keys from the counter. "I'm going out for a drive. Think about what you did tonight." The door closed behind him, and Jasmine released a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. She looked back at her phone, at the messages from the stranger who'd accidentally received her cry for help. Against her better judgment, she typed, "Thank you for caring, but there's nothing anyone can do." She dragged herself up from the floor and began sweeping up the shattered ceramic, each piece a fragment of the life she'd once imagined for herself. Jinwoo Park sat in the back of his black Mercedes, the city lights of Los Angeles streaming past the tinted windows. He'd just left a meeting with the heads of 3 rival organizations, a delicate negotiation that had required every ounce of his diplomatic skill. In his world, the wrong word could start a war. The right word could make millions. His phone had buzzed during the meeting, but he'd ignored it. Now, stuck in late-night traffic on the 405, he finally looked at the message. The words made him pause mid-reach for his whiskey glass. He beat me again. I don't know how much more I can take. Please help me. Jin Woo had been in the criminal underworld since he was 17, climbing from enforcer to underboss to his current position as head of the Baekho faction. He'd seen violence in every form imaginable. He'd ordered it, executed it, profited from it. But there were lines, even he wouldn't cross. His own father had been a violent drunk who'd terrorized Jin Woo's mother until the day she finally escaped, taking her young son with her. She'd died when Jin Woo was 15, but not before instilling in him an ironclad principle. Real men don't raise their hands to women or children. Those who do deserve no mercy. He read the follow-up messages, noting the panic in the sender's hasty apology, the resignation in her final text. There's nothing anyone can do. Jin Woo's jaw tightened. He'd heard those words before from his mother's lips. He'd been too young, too powerless to help her then. But he wasn't powerless now. Minjun, he said to his driver and right-hand man, I need you to trace a number for me. Minjun glanced in the rear-view mirror, one eyebrow raised. In their line of work, strange requests were common, but something in Jin Woo's tone suggested this was personal. Yes, Hyungnim. Minjun pulled out his own phone, connecting to their tech specialist. Within minutes, they had a name and address. Jasmine Collins, 29 years old. Minjun read from the information coming through. Married to Victor Harrington, 34, investment banker at Sterling & Cross. They live in the Wilshire Corridor, luxury building, Unit 4208. Jin Woo knew the building. It was where wealthy professionals lived, the kind of place where everyone minded their own business and domestic disturbances got smoothed over with generous donations to the building fund. Victor Harrington, Jin Woo repeated, committing the name to memory. What else? Give me a moment. Minjun relayed the request. More information flowed in. Harrington comes from old money, East Coast family, went to Yale, works in mergers and acquisitions. On paper, he's clean. But... Minjun paused, reading further. There was a sealed incident report from his college days. Our contact couldn't access details, but it was related to an assault charge that disappeared. Money and connections, Jin Woo said quietly. The charges went away because someone made them go away. Most likely. Should I dig deeper? Jin Woo was silent for a moment, watching the city slide by. He had legitimate business interests that kept him busy, carefully cultivated to launder the money from his less legitimate ventures. He had territories to manage, rivals to keep in check, politicians to influence. Getting involved in a domestic situation between two people he didn't know was foolish. It could draw unwanted attention. But he kept seeing that message. He beat me again. Again. Not the first time. Not even the second. This was a pattern. Yes, Jin Woo said finally. I want to know everything about Victor Harrington, and I want to know more about Jasmine Collins, how they met, how long they've been married, if she has family nearby. Hyungnim, is this wise? We have the situation with the Russians too. I know what we have to deal with, Jin Woo interrupted, his voice carrying the authority that had made grown men fear him. This won't interfere. Consider it a personal matter. Minjun nodded, knowing better than to question further. I'll have a full report by morning. Jin Woo pulled out his phone and looked at the messages again. He typed carefully. My name is Jin Woo. I understand you think there's nothing anyone can do, but you're wrong. If you need help, I can provide it. No strings attached. He hesitated before hitting send. In his world, every action had consequences. Getting involved with Jasmine Collins meant assuming responsibility for whatever came next. It meant potential complications he couldn't foresee. But Jin Woo had learned long ago that some things were worth the risk. Some lines had to be drawn in the sand, no matter the cost. He sent the message. 3 days passed before Jasmine responded to Jin Woo's last message. She'd read it dozens of times, memorized every word. I can provide help. No strings attached. In her experience, there were always strings. Nothing came free, especially not protection or safety. But the bruises on her ribs had deepened to purple-black, and Victor's apology flowers were already dying in their vase. The cycle was speeding up. What used to happen once a month now happened weekly. She was running out of time. Jasmine typed and deleted several responses before finally settling on, "How could you possibly help?" The reply came within seconds, as if Jinwoo had been waiting. "Meet me. Public place of your choosing. Just to talk." Every rational part of Jasmine's brain screamed that this was insane. Meeting a stranger from a wrong number text? She could be walking into something worse than what she already had. But something about Jinwoo's messages felt different. There was no performative sympathy, no judgment, just direct offers of assistance. "The Coffee Bean on Wilshire. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. I can only stay 30 minutes. Victor would be at work. She'd tell him she had a doctor's appointment if he checked her location. "I'll be there," Jinwoo responded. "So you can recognize me. I'll be wearing a gray suit, black tie. Korean? I about 6 feet tall." The next day, Jasmine spent an hour deciding what to wear, something that covered the bruises but didn't look like she was covering bruises. She settled on a long-sleeved navy dress and sunglasses despite the overcast weather. The makeup on her cheek was thick enough to hide the yellowing remnants of Victor's fist. The Coffee Bean was moderately busy when she arrived, filled with the usual mixture of freelancers on laptops and people escaping their daily routines. Jasmine ordered a green tea she didn't want and found a table near the window where she could watch the door. Jinwoo arrived exactly at 2. Jasmine knew it was him immediately, not just because of his description, but because of the way he carried himself. There was a quiet confidence in his movements, an alertness in his eyes as they swept the room. When his gaze landed on her, something shifted in his expression. Recognition, followed quickly by something that looked like controlled anger. He could see the bruises despite her makeup. Jinwoo approached the table slowly, as if afraid of startling her. Up close, he was striking. Sharp features, dark eyes that missed nothing, and an expensive suit that fit perfectly. But it was his expression that caught Jasmine off guard. She'd expected pity or disgust. Instead, she saw understanding. "Jasmine?" His voice was deep, measured. She nodded, unable to speak past the sudden lump in her throat. "May I sit?" Another nod. Jinwoo sat across from her, not touching the chair back, maintaining perfect posture. He didn't reach for her hand or invade her space. He simply waited, giving her time to find her voice. "I don't know why I'm here," Jasmine finally said. "This is crazy." "Maybe," Jinwoo agreed. "But sometimes crazy is necessary." "You don't even know me. Why would you help someone you don't know?" Jinwoo was quiet for a moment, his fingers wrapped around his untouched coffee cup. "My mother was in a situation like yours. My father drank, got violent. She thought she had nowhere to go. No one who would help without asking what she'd done to provoke him. By the time she found the courage to leave, the damage was done. She was never the same." Jasmine felt tears prick her eyes. "I'm sorry." "Don't apologize. Just let me ask you something. When you think about your future, what do you see?" "I don't think about the future anymore," Jasmine admitted. "I just try to survive each day." "That's not living. That's existing." Jinwoo leaned forward slightly. "I'm going to be direct with you, because I think you need someone to be direct. Your husband is going to kill you. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but eventually. Men like him don't stop. They escalate." The bluntness should have offended her, but instead Jasmine felt a strange relief. Finally, someone was saying what she'd been too afraid to acknowledge. "I know," she whispered. "But I can't just leave. Victor has connections everywhere. His family is powerful. He's told me what would happen if I tried to divorce him. He'd destroy me in court, make sure I got nothing, turn everyone against me." "What if his connections didn't matter? What if you had protection he couldn't breach?" Jasmine looked at Jinwoo carefully, really seeing him for the first time. The expensive suit, and the confident bearing, the way the barista had seemed nervous when taking his order. "Who are you, really?" "I'm someone who can help you, but I need you to trust me enough to let me." "What would helping me look like?" Jinwoo considered his words. "I can provide you with a safe place to stay. I can make sure Victor doesn't follow you or threaten you. I can connect you with lawyers who aren't afraid of his family's influence, and I can make certain he understands that touching you again would be the biggest mistake of his life. You make it sound so simple. It's not simple. It will be difficult and scary, but it's possible. The question is whether you're ready to take that step. Jasmine thought about the broken plate, the split lip, the way she'd stopped recognizing herself in the mirror. She thought about the girl she used to be, and before Victor, when she'd had dreams and ambitions beyond just surviving the night. If I did this, she said slowly, if I let you help me, what would you want in return? Jinwoo met her eyes steadily. Nothing. I don't help you to gain leverage or create debt. I help because it's the right thing to do. People don't just do the right thing, not without wanting something. Some people don't. But I'm not most people. He pulled out a business card and slid it across the table. It was plain white with only a phone number embossed in black. This number reaches me directly, 24 hours a day. When you're ready, and I hope that's soon, you call me. I'll handle everything else. Jasmine picked up the card, the paper thick and expensive between her fingers. What if I'm never ready? Then I hope you survive long enough to change your mind. Jinwoo stood, buttoning his suit jacket. But Jasmine, that makeup on your cheek is very good. Most people probably don't notice, but I do. And I can see that the bruise underneath is recent. 3, maybe 4 days old. He's hitting you more frequently, isn't he? She couldn't answer, but her silence was confirmation enough. The window for getting out safely is closing. Don't wait until it shuts completely. He left without another word, and Jasmine sat alone with his card and her tea, feeling like she'd just stepped to the edge of a cliff. Behind her was certain destruction. Ahead was the unknown. And for the first time in 2 years, she felt something she'd almost forgotten. Hope. Victor knew something had changed. Jasmine could see it in the way he watched her during dinner, his eyes tracking her movements with predatory focus. She'd been too careful with her phone, too quick to delete messages. He'd always been paranoid, but now his suspicion had sharpened into certainty. Who were you texting earlier? He asked the question casually, cutting his steak with precise movements. My sister. Just catching up. The lie came easily now. Jasmine had become an expert at lying. Really? Because I thought I saw you delete something. Her heart hammered against her ribs. I delete old conversations sometimes, to clear space. Victor set down his knife and fork with deliberate care. Show me your phone. What? Your phone? Let me see it. This was it. This was the moment Jasmine had been dreading. Jinwoo's number was saved under Dr. Kim in her contacts. And she deleted their text thread. But Victor was thorough. If he wanted to find something, he would. That's an invasion of privacy, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Victor's laugh was cold. Privacy? You're my wife. We don't have secrets. Unless you're hiding something? Jasmine's hand moved to her pocket where her phone rested, and she thought about Jinwoo's card, still tucked in her wallet. Call me when you're ready, he'd said. Was she ready? Could she do this? I'm not hiding anything, but I'm also not giving you my phone to go through like I'm a child. She watched Victor's face change, saw the familiar storm clouds gathering. His jaw clenched, and his hands formed fists on the table. But this time, something in Jasmine was different. This time, she didn't immediately back down and apologize. This time, she held his gaze. What did you just say to me? Victor's voice was dangerously quiet. I said no. The word hung in the air between them like a challenge. Jasmine had never refused him directly before. She'd always found ways to deflect, to appease, to smooth over his anger before it could fully ignite. But Jinwoo's words kept echoing in her mind. Your husband is going to kill you. Men like him don't stop. She was so tired of being afraid. Victor stood slowly, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor. You've been different lately. More defiant. I've been patient, given you space to work through whatever crisis you're having, but I think it's time we remembered who's in charge here. He started around the table toward her, and Jasmine stood too, her chair falling backward. Her hand went to her pocket, fingers closing around her phone. Don't come near me, she said, and was surprised by the firmness in her own voice. Victor stopped, genuine surprise crossing his features. Then his expression twisted into something ugly. Or what? You'll leave? We both know you won't. You have nowhere to go, no money of your own, no one who would take you in. You're mine, Jasmine. The sooner you accept that, the easier this will be. He was wrong. She did have somewhere to go. Someone had offered her a way out. I want a divorce, Jasmine heard herself say. The words seemed to come from someone else, someone braver than she'd thought herself capable of being. Victor's face went completely blank for a moment, processing what she'd said. Then he moved fast, crossing the distance between them in 2 strides. His hand shot out and grabbed her throat. He's slamming her back against the wall. The impact knocked the air from her lungs. You want a divorce? His face was inches from hers, spittle flying as he spoke. I've given you everything. This apartment, your clothes, the lifestyle you enjoy. And you want to throw it away? To leave me? Jasmine clawed at his hand, unable to breathe. Black spots danced at the edges of her vision. This was it. This was how it ended. She'd pushed too hard, said too much, and now Victor was going to kill her right here in their expensive apartment where no one would hear or intervene. But then, miraculously, his hand loosened. He stepped back, and Jasmine collapsed to the floor, gasping for air. Through watering eyes, she saw Victor standing over her, breathing hard, looking at his own hands as if surprised by what they'd done. Look what you made me do, he said, his voice cracking. I didn't want to hurt you, but you pushed me. Why do you always push me? Jasmine didn't answer. She couldn't. Her throat felt crushed, and every breath was agony. She fumbled for her phone, which had fallen during the struggle, and somehow managed to get to her feet. Her legs were shaking so badly she could barely stand. Don't you walk away from me, Victor warned. We're not done talking about this. But Jasmine was already moving toward the bedroom, phone clutched in her hand. She locked the door behind her. A flimsy barrier that wouldn't stop him if he really wanted in, but it was something. She could hear him pacing outside, muttering to himself. With trembling fingers, Jasmine found Jinwoo's number and pressed call before she could lose her nerve. He answered on the first ring. Jasmine, I'm ready, she whispered, her damaged throat making even those words painful. Please, I need help. Now. Where is he? Outside the bedroom door. Lock yourself in the bathroom if you can. I'm 15 minutes away. How did you? I've had someone watching your building since we met. I needed to know you were safe. Go. Lock yourself in. I'm coming. Jasmine stumbled to the bathroom and engaged the lock just as she heard Victor trying the bedroom door. The knob rattled violently. Jasmine, open this door right now. She sank down onto the cold tile floor, phone pressed to her ear, listening to Jinwoo's calm voice. Stay with me. You're going to be fine. I promise you, Jasmine. You're going to be fine. She wanted to believe him. God, how she wanted to believe him. Jinwoo's Mercedes pulled up to the luxury apartment building with the kind of confidence that made the valet hesitate before approaching. Minjun was already out of the driver's seat, and 2 more vehicles pulled up behind them, disgorging 4 additional men in dark suits. 42nd floor, Unit 8, Jinwoo said, striding into the lobby. The doorman looked up from his desk, opened his mouth to ask if he could help, then seemed to reconsider when he saw Jinwoo's expression. They took the elevator up in tense silence. Through his phone, Jinwoo could hear muffled shouting, something breaking. Jasmine's whispered breathing had gone silent a few minutes ago, which either meant Victor had given up or she'd passed out from fear. Neither option sat well with him. The elevator dinged open on the 42nd floor. Jinwoo walked directly to Unit 8 and knocked, 3 sharp raps that echoed in the hallway. The shouting inside stopped abruptly. Footsteps approached the door. Who is it? Someone who wants to talk to you about your wife, Jinwoo said calmly. The door swung open to reveal Victor Harrington, tall, well-built, with the kind of polished good looks that came from genetic lottery and expensive grooming. His tie was loosened, hair disheveled, face flushed with anger. He looked Jinwoo up and down, clearly trying to place him. Who the hell are you? A friend of Jasmine's. May I come in? Victor's eyes narrowed. I don't know what Jasmine told you, but this is a private matter between husband and wife. You need to leave before I call security. I don't think you want to do that, Jinwoo said. He nodded. And Minjun moved forward, eye displaying his phone screen. On it was a video, clearly taken from a neighbor's security camera, showing Victor dragging Jasmine by her hair into their apartment 2 weeks ago. Victor's face went pale. Where did you get that? It doesn't matter. What matters is that I have it, along with hospital records, police reports that were mysteriously withdrawn, and testimony from 3 people who've witnessed your behavior. What matters is that your career at Sterling and Cross would be over if any of this became public. What matters is that you're going to let Jasmine leave tonight without any interference. You're threatening me? Victor's voice rose. Do you know who my family is? Do you have any idea the kind of legal trouble you're inviting? Jin Woo smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. Victor Harrington, son of Judge Harrison Harrington, grandson of Senator Thomas Harrington. Yale graduate, member of the Porcellian Club. Yes, I know exactly who your family is. I also know that your grandfather's Senate seat is up for re-election next year, and the last thing your family needs is a domestic violence scandal, so here's what's going to happen. Jin Woo stepped forward, forcing Victor to step back into his own apartment. The other men followed, creating an imposing wall of muscle and expensive suits. Jasmine is going to pack a bag. You're going to stand here quietly while she does. You're not going to speak to her, touch her, or even look at her. Then she's going to leave with us. Tomorrow, you're going to receive divorce papers, which you will sign without contest. You will not ask for alimony. You will not fight over assets. And you will split everything 50-50. Are we clear? Victor's face was red now, veins standing out on his forehead. And if I refuse? If I fight this? Then every piece of evidence I have gets sent to the media, your firm's board of directors, and the California Bar Association. Your career ends. Your family's political ambitions end. And that's if you're lucky. If I'm lucky? Is that a threat? Jin Woo's expression went cold. No, Mr. Harrington, this is a threat. If you ever go near Jasmine again, if you contact her, follow her, or make any attempt to harm her in any way, I will ensure you regret it in ways your privileged life has never prepared you for. I am not bound by the same rules as your family's lawyers and judges. I play a very different game, and in my game, the consequences are permanent. Victor's hands clenched into fists. Who are you? Someone you don't want as an enemy. Now, where is your wife? I'm here. Jasmine's voice came from the hallway. She'd emerged from the bedroom, a small suitcase in her hand. Her face was pale, eyes red from crying, but she was standing straight. When she saw Jin Woo, relief flooded her features. Jasmine, you can't be serious about this, Victor said, switching tactics, his voice suddenly gentle. Baby, we can work this out. We don't need these people involved in our marriage. I love you. Everything I do is because I love you so much. Don't, Jasmine said, her voice hoarse from where he'd choked her. Don't call me baby. Don't say you love me. Love doesn't leave bruises, Victor. Love doesn't make you afraid to exist in your own home. I have a problem, I admit that. But I'll get help. I'll see a therapist, go to anger management, whatever you want. Just don't leave. Please. Jasmine walked toward the door, toward Jin Woo. I'm done begging for crumbs of basic human decency. I'm done pretending your violence is somehow my fault. I'm done, Victor. We're done. Victor's mask slipped, revealing the rage beneath. He lunged toward Jasmine, but Minjun moved faster, intercepting him and slamming him against the wall. Victor struggled, but Minjun had 6 inches and 40 pounds of muscle on him. I believe the lady said she's leaving, Minjun said pleasantly. Jinwoo offered Jasmine his arm. Are you ready? She nodded, not trusting her voice. They walked out of the apartment together, leaving Victor cursing and threatening legal action against the wall where Minjun held him. The other men followed, forming a protective barrier around Jasmine. In the elevator, Jasmine finally allowed herself to break. Tears streamed down her face, her whole body shaking with the release of years of pent-up fear and stress. Jinwoo didn't try to comfort her with platitudes. He simply stood beside her, a steady presence, until they reached the lobby. Where are we going? Jasmine asked as they approached the waiting cars. Somewhere safe. Somewhere he can't reach you. She looked back at the building, at the prison that had masqueraded as a luxury apartment. I can't believe I actually left. You were brave, That took tremendous courage. I was terrified. Courage isn't the absence of fear, Jasmine. It's acting despite it. Ah, you did that tonight. She climbed into the Mercedes, sinking into the leather seat. As they pulled away from the curb, Jasmine felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Freedom. It was terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. Thank you, she whispered. Jinwoo nodded. You're welcome. But this is just the beginning. Now comes the hard part. What's harder than leaving? Rebuilding. Becoming who you were always meant to be. He looked at her seriously. And dealing with Victor's retaliation, because men like him don't let go easily. Jasmine knew he was right. She'd escaped, but the battle was far from over. Victor had connections, money, and a vindictive streak that wouldn't accept defeat. The thought should have terrified her. But as the city lights blurred past the window, and Jinwoo's steady presence anchored her to this new reality, Jasmine found something else taking root beneath the fear. Determination. She'd survived this long, she would survive what came next. And this time, she wouldn't be alone. Victor Harrington was not a man accustomed to losing. The morning after Jasmine left, he sat in his corner office at Sterling and Cross, staring at the divorce papers that had been delivered by courier at 7 a.m. The terms were exactly as Jinwoo had dictated. No-fault divorce, 50-50 split of assets, no alimony, and an ironclad non-disclosure agreement. He crumpled the papers in his fist. Who the hell did this Jinwoo think he was? Some Korean gangster with delusions of power, thinking he could threaten a Harrington? Victor picked up his phone and called his father. Victor. It's early. Judge Harrison Harrington answered, voice gruff. Dad, I need help. Jasmine left me. Some thug named Jinwoo helped her, threatened me, has evidence of some past incidents. There was a long pause. What kind of evidence? Videos, hospital records, things that could be misinterpreted. Misinterpreted. His father's voice went cold. Victor, I've told you to be more careful. Your grandfather's election. I know about grandfather's election, that's why I'm calling you. We need to make this go away quietly. I need lawyers, private investigators, whatever it takes. What's this man's full name? Jinwoo, that's all I got. Korean, runs with a crew, drives a Mercedes. Another pause. Then his father said something that surprised Victor. Forget about this, Victor. Sign the papers. Let Jasmine go. This is not a fight you want. What? Dad, we're Harringtons. We don't... I'm going to say something to you now, and I need you to listen carefully. There's only one Jinwoo in Los Angeles with the kind of power to walk into your building with armed men and make threats. Jinwoo Park runs the Baek Ho faction. Do you understand what that means? Victor felt ice settle in his stomach. He'd heard rumors about Korean organized crime in LA, but he'd always dismissed them as exaggerated. The Baek Ho, that's one of the most powerful criminal organizations on the West Coast. They control everything from shipping to real estate to half the politicians in this city. If Jinwoo Park is protecting your wife, it means she somehow earned his favor. And that means you are completely out of your depth. But we're Harringtons. Grandfather knows people. We have influence. Influence operates in the legal world, Victor. These people operate outside of it. Your grandfather's political connections mean nothing to them. In fact, they probably have leverage over most of the people your grandfather knows. Sign the papers. Move on. Find someone else. Victor ended the call, fury coursing through his veins. Even his own father was abandoning him. Everyone was taking Jasmine's side, treating him like he was the villain when all he'd done was try to make his wife behave properly. But Victor hadn't become successful by accepting defeat. If he couldn't use his family's connections, he'd find another way. He picked up his phone again and scrolled through his contacts until he found the name he was looking for. Marcus Chen, a private investigator who specialized in the kind of work that never appeared in official reports. Marcus, I have a job for you. I need dirt on someone. Jinwoo Park runs the Baek Ho organization. I need to know everything about him, his businesses, his associates, his weaknesses. And I need to know where my wife is staying. 2 days later, Marcus called back with bad news. Mr. Harrington, I'm going to have to decline this job. After making some preliminary inquiries, I've been strongly advised to drop it. Someone made it very clear that investigating Mr. Park would be bad for my health and business. Victor threw his phone across the office, watching it shatter against the wall. They were protecting her. All of them. But there had to be a way. There was always a way. Jasmine woke up in a bedroom she didn't recognize. May momentarily panicked before remembering where she was. Jinwoo had taken her to a house in the Hollywood Hills, a modern architectural marvel with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. It was beautiful, and felt more like a fortress than a home. A soft knock came at the door. "Miss Jasmine, I've brought breakfast." The voice belonged to Mrs. Song, an older Korean woman who served as the house's caretaker. "Come in," Jasmine called, sitting up. Mrs. Song entered with a tray of food: rice, soup, various side dishes, and tea. She set it on the bedside table with a warm smile. "You need to eat. Keep your strength up." "Thank you." Jasmine looked at the spread, touched by the care that had gone into preparing it. "Mrs. Song, can I ask you something? Why is Jinwoo helping me? What does he get out of this?" Mrs. Song sat on the edge of the bed, her weathered hands folding in her lap. "Mr. Jinwoo's mother was my best friend. She suffered much before she found courage to leave her husband. But the damage was done. Inside, where no one could see. She died when Jinwoo was still young. He never forgave himself for not being able to protect her. So I'm what? Some kind of replacement? A second chance for him to play hero?" "No," Mrs. Song said firmly. "You are a person who needs help, and he is a person who can give it. Sometimes, it is that simple." Over the next week, Jasmine began to settle into a routine. Jinwoo had hired a lawyer, a fierce woman named Catherine Rodriguez, who specialized in high-conflict divorces. Catherine visited the house daily, preparing Jasmine for what was to come. "Victor's going to fight this," Catherine said during one of their sessions. "His father might have advised him to let you go, but men like Victor don't accept rejection well. He'll look for leverage, try to drag your name through the mud, make you seem unstable or unfaithful." "I've never been unfaithful," Jasmine protested. "I know, but he'll try to create doubt. We need to be prepared with our own evidence, the medical records, the videos Jinwoo obtained, testimony from anyone who witnessed his behavior." Jasmine thought about the years of hiding bruises, of making excuses to friends and family. "I pushed everyone away. He isolated me so thoroughly that I don't know if anyone would testify for me." "What about your sister? Keisha, right? The one you meant to text that night?" Jasmine's eyes filled with tears, and she hadn't spoken to Keisha in over a year. Victor had manufactured a fight between them, twisted Jasmine's words until Keisha had stopped calling. "I don't know if she'd even take my call." "Try," Catherine urged. "Family can surprise you." That evening, Jasmine sat in the garden with her phone, staring at Keisha's contact information. Jinwoo found her there, lost in thought. "You look troubled," he observed, taking a seat on the bench beside her. "I'm about to call my sister. I haven't talked to her in over a year. I said some terrible things to her. Things Victor told me to say." "And you're afraid she won't forgive you?" "I'm afraid I don't deserve her forgiveness." Jinwoo was quiet for a moment. "My mother used to say that asking for forgiveness is brave because it requires admitting we were wrong. But staying silent out of pride or fear is cowardice. Your sister deserves to know you're safe, and you deserve to have family in your corner." Jasmine took a deep breath and pressed call. The phone rang 3 times before Keisha answered, her voice cautious. "Jasmine? Hey, Keisha, it's me. Oh my God. Jazz, where have you been? I've been so worried. I tried calling, but Victor always said you were busy or didn't want to talk to me." The lies. Of course, there had been lies. "Keisha, I need to tell you something. About Victor, about our marriage, about why I really pushed you away." Over the next hour, Jasmine told her sister everything. The abuse, the control, the fear. She explained how Victor had manipulated her into cutting ties with everyone who might have helped her escape. And she told her about Jinwoo, about the wrong number text that had somehow led to her salvation. Keisha cried through most of it. "Why didn't you tell me? I could have helped you." I was ashamed. And scared. And I convinced myself it wasn't that bad, that I could fix things if I just tried harder. "Where are you now? Are you safe?" "I'm safe. I have protection, and I'm filing for divorce. But I need you, Keisha. I need my sister back." You never lost me, Jazz. I've been here the whole time, waiting for you to come home. After they hung up, Jasmine turned to find Jinwoo still sitting there, giving her privacy but staying close enough to offer silent support. Thank you, she said, for everything. I know I keep saying it, but I don't know how else to express what this means to me. You don't have to thank me, just focus on healing. Nah, the rest will come. Can I ask you something personal? Jinwoo nodded. Do you ever regret the life you've chosen? The things you've had to do? He considered the question carefully. I regret many things, but I don't apologize for who I am, or the choices that led me here. My world is dark, violent, and unforgiving. But it's also given me the power to help people like you. If I'd chosen a different path, I wouldn't have the resources or influence to stand against men like Victor. So no, I don't regret it. I've made peace with the cost. Doesn't it get lonely? Living in that world? Jinwoo met her eyes, and for a moment his carefully maintained composure slipped. She saw the loneliness he carried, the isolation that came with his position. Very. But loneliness is preferable to helplessness. And I learned that lesson when I was 15 years old, watching my mother's funeral, knowing I'd been too weak to save her. Jasmine reached out and took his hand. It was a simple gesture, but it felt monumental. Jinwoo looked down at their joined hands, surprised. You're not alone now, Jasmine said softly. And neither am I. Victor's desperation had reached a critical point. Every avenue he'd tried had been blocked. His father refused to help, his private investigators backed away, and his lawyers advised settling quietly. Even his colleagues at work had started giving him strange looks after rumors of his domestic situation began circulating. He knew Jinwoo Park was behind it all. Somehow, that gangster had poisoned every well, closed every door. Victor had never felt so powerless in his life, and the feeling enraged him. And if he couldn't get to Jasmine through legal means, he'd find another way. Victor started following the patterns. Jinwoo's men were careful, but they were predictable. Jasmine had a therapy appointment every Tuesday at 3 p.m. in Beverly Hills. The same 2 bodyguards always accompanied her, and they always took the same route. On the 3rd Tuesday, Victor was waiting. He'd rented a nondescript sedan and parked it along their route, watching as the black Mercedes carrying Jasmine pulled into the parking structure. The bodyguards did a sweep before allowing her to exit the vehicle. Victor didn't approach. Not yet. He just wanted to see her, to remind himself what he was fighting for. When Jasmine emerged from the car, Victor's breath caught. She looked different, healthier somehow. Her shoulders weren't hunched. Her movements weren't tentative. She was walking like a woman who wasn't afraid. It filled him with irrational fury. How dare she look happy without him? He followed at a distance as she entered the building, watched through the glass as she checked in at the reception desk. One of the bodyguards stayed in the lobby while the other returned to the car. An idea formed in Victor's mind. A reckless, dangerous idea. But he was past the point of rational decision-making. He waited until Jasmine's session was over and she emerged from the building. As she walked toward the waiting car, Victor stepped out from behind a pillar. Jasmine, he called out. She froze. The bodyguard immediately moved between them, hand moving inside his jacket. But Victor kept his distance, hands visible, non-threatening. I just want to talk, please. 5 minutes. You need to leave, Mr. Harrington, the bodyguard said firmly. Jasmine, please. I'm begging you. I've lost everything. My career is in shambles. My family won't speak to me. All because you couldn't forgive one mistake. One mistake? Jasmine's voice was stronger than Victor remembered. You beat me for 2 years, Victor. You isolated me from everyone who loved me. You made me afraid to breathe wrong in my own home. That's not one mistake. That's a pattern of abuse. I was under stress. The pressure at work, the expectations from my family, I took it out on you. And that was wrong. But I'm getting help now. Real help. I'm in therapy, anger management, everything. I can change. You should change. For yourself. For your next relationship. But not for me. We're done. I'm Victor. You can't just throw away our marriage because of some thug who's manipulated you into thinking I'm a monster. The bodyguard stepped closer. Mr. Harrington, this is your last warning. Leave now or we call the police. But Victor wasn't listening. He was looking at Jasmine, seeing the finality in her eyes, and something in him snapped. He lunged forward, trying to grab her arm to make her understand. He didn't make it 2 steps. The bodyguard moved with professional precision, intercepting Victor and slamming him face first into the concrete pillar. Pain exploded across Victor's cheek, and he felt blood pour from his broken nose. "You broke my nose!" Victor screamed, hands coming up to his face. "You violated the restraining order Miss Collins filed yesterday," the bodyguard said calmly. "I defended my client from assault. Now you have 10 seconds to leave before the police arrive. They're already on their way." Victor stumbled backward, blood streaming through his fingers. Through his pain and rage, he looked at Jasmine one more time. She wasn't scared. She wasn't even angry. She just looked at him with something that might have been pity. "Goodbye, Victor," she said quietly. "I hope you find the help you need." Then she got into the car and drove away, leaving Victor bleeding and humiliated in a parking garage, sirens growing closer in the distance. That evening, Jinwoo sat with Jasmine in the living room of the safe house, ice pack pressed against her wrist where Victor had managed to grab her before the bodyguard intervened. "He looked desperate," Jasmine said quietly. "Broken, almost. Part of me felt sorry for him." "That's because you have empathy. It's one of your better qualities. But don't confuse empathy with obligation. You're not responsible for fixing him." "I know. It's just, I spent so long convincing myself he could change, that if I just loved him enough or tried hard enough, he'd become the man I thought he was when we first met. The man you thought he was never existed. It was a mask he wore until he had you trapped. Men like Victor don't change, Jasmine. They just get better at hiding what they are." Jasmine nodded, knowing he was right. The restraining order will hold him off, won't it? For a while. But Victor's pride is wounded. Wounded pride makes men unpredictable. Jinwoo paused. "I need to tell you something. My men have been monitoring Victor's activities. He's been making inquiries, trying to find leverage against me. He doesn't understand that in my world, the people who talk don't live long enough to become problems." "You're not going to—" Jasmine couldn't finish the sentence. "Kill him? No. Despite what you might think, I'm not a murderer. I've done things I'm not proud of, operated in moral gray areas, but I don't kill people for inconvenience. Victor will face legal consequences for violating the restraining order. That should be enough." "Should be?" Jinwoo's expression darkened. "Should be. But I'm preparing for the possibility that it won't be." Over the next few weeks, Victor faced the consequences of his actions. The restraining order violation resulted in mandatory anger management classes and a suspended sentence. His firm placed him on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. His father finally cut him off financially, and tired of cleaning up his messes. But Victor was resourceful. He still had his trust fund and some loyal friends from college, and he had something else. Rage that burned hotter every day. Meanwhile, Jasmine was rebuilding her life. She'd reconnected with Keisha, started volunteering at a domestic violence shelter, and begun the process of rediscovering who she was outside of Victor's shadow. Catherine Rodriguez had filed the divorce papers, and surprisingly, Victor had signed them without contest, probably on his lawyer's advice after the restraining order incident. Jasmine was free. Legally, financially, emotionally free. But freedom came with its own complications. As the weeks passed and she spent more time with Jinwoo, Jasmine realized her feelings for him had evolved beyond gratitude. He was unlike anyone she'd ever known. Dangerous and gentle in equal measure, powerful but never domineering, protective without being possessive. One evening, after Mrs. Song had gone home and the bodyguards were stationed outside, Jasmine found Jinwoo in his study, reviewing documents. "Can I interrupt?" she asked from the doorway. He looked up, a slight smile crossing his face. "Always." Jasmine entered and sat across from him. "I've been thinking about what happens next. The divorce is almost final. I've saved enough from the settlement to get my own place. I can't stay here forever." Something flickered in Jinwoo's eyes. "You can stay as long as you need to." "But that's the thing. I don't need to anymore. I'm strong enough to stand on my own now. You help me find that strength." She paused. "But I don't want to leave." Jinwoo set down his pen carefully. "Jasmine, I know this is complicated. I know your world is dangerous and that getting involved with you would be difficult. But I also know that I've felt more alive, more myself in these past few months than I did in my entire marriage. You see me, Jinwoo, the real me, and I see you too. You don't know everything about me. The things I've done, the people I've hurt to maintain my position. I know enough. I know you're a good man trying to do right in a world that doesn't always reward goodness. I know you saved my life and asked for nothing in return. I know when I'm with you, I feel safe and valued and whole. Jinwoo stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. I care about you, Jasmine, more than I should. But my life isn't normal. There are dangers, enemies, constant threats. I can protect you from Victor, but there are other things I can't protect you from. Other people in my world who would see you as a weakness to exploit. Jasmine joined him at the window. I'm not asking for normal, I'm asking for honest, for real. I've had normal and it nearly destroyed me. What we have, this thing between us, it might be complicated and unconventional, but it's real. Don't tell me you don't feel it too. Jinwoo turned to face her, and the walls he usually kept so carefully maintained crumbled just enough for her to see the truth. I feel it. Every day, every moment you're near me, I feel it. But I'm afraid of what it means. Then be afraid with me. We'll figure it out together. He cupped her face gently, his thumb brushing her cheek. You deserve someone whose hands aren't stained with the things mine are. I deserve someone who sees me as an equal, who respects my choices, who makes me want to be braver than I am. That's you, Jinwoo. That's been you from the moment you answered that wrong number text. He kissed her then, soft and careful, as if she were something precious that might break. Jasmine kissed him back, pouring 2 months of growing feelings into it. Gratitude and respect, and something deeper that she wasn't quite ready to name. When they finally pulled apart, Jinwoo rested his forehead against hers. This won't be easy. Nothing worth having ever is. Victor had spent 3 months watching his entire life fall apart. His job was gone. His family had disowned him, and his friends had distanced themselves. All because of Jasmine and that Korean gangster who'd stolen her away. The rational part of Victor's brain knew he'd brought this on himself, that his behavior had been inexcusable, but rational thought had been drowned out by obsession. He'd convinced himself that if he could just get Jasmine back, everything would return to normal. She was the key to restoring his life. He'd tracked their patterns more carefully now. He knew Jasmine had moved into Jinwoo's house permanently, that they were, according to his sources, involved romantically. The thought made Victor's blood boil. His wife, sleeping with a criminal, and everyone acted like she was the victim. Victor formulated a plan. It was desperate and dangerous, but he was past caring. He'd acquired a gun through a contact from college, learned the security patterns around Jinwoo's house, and waited for his opportunity. It came on a Thursday evening. Jinwoo had left for a business meeting and only 2 guards remained at the property. Victor watched from a distance as one guard did a perimeter check, leaving the front temporarily unmanned. He made his move, approaching the house from the blind spot he'd identified. The security was good, but not perfect. Victor managed to reach the side entrance, the gun heavy in his jacket pocket. Inside, Jasmine was in the kitchen with Mrs. Song, laughing about something as they prepared dinner. It was such a normal, domestic scene that it infuriated Victor even more. She was happy. She'd moved on. She'd replaced him. Victor's hand closed around the gun. But before he could even draw it, something hard pressed against the back of his skull. Minjun's voice was calm and professional. Move, and you're dead. Victor froze. How had they known? He'd been so careful. Did you really think we wouldn't notice you watching the house for weeks? Minjun continued. We let you get this far to see what you'd do. Now I know. 2 more guards appeared from the shadows. They'd been waiting for him, prepared for this exact scenario. I just wanted to talk to my wife, Victor protested weakly. With a gun in your pocket? Try again. In the kitchen, Jasmine had heard the commotion. She appeared in the doorway, Mrs. Song behind her, and her expression when she saw Victor was neither fear nor anger. It was disappointment. You just couldn't let it go, could you? Jasmine said quietly. You're my wife, Victor pleaded. We took vows. For better or worse, remember? You don't just get to walk away because things got difficult. Difficult? Jasmine's voice rose. You beat me, Victor. You terrorized me. You made me feel like I was worth nothing. That's not difficult. That's abuse. And I'm not your wife anymore. The divorce was finalized 2 weeks ago. The words hit Victor like a physical blow. Finalized. It was really over. What now? He asked, looking at the guards surrounding him. Now you leave Los Angeles, Minjun said. Your father has arranged a position for you in his firm's London office. You'll take it, move overseas, and never contact Jasmine again. If you refuse, the gun we just found on you during an attempted home invasion will be reported to police, and you'll spend the next 5 to 10 years in prison. Choose. Victor looked at Jasmine one last time, searching for any sign that she might still care, that there might be hope for reconciliation. But her expression was resolute. She'd moved on. She'd chosen Jinwoo's world over the life they'd built together. I choose London, Victor said finally, his voice defeated. Smart decision. You leave tomorrow. If we ever see you in California again, the consequences will be severe. Are we clear? Victor nodded. The guards escorted him out, and Jasmine watched through the window as they put him in a car and drove away. She expected to feel triumphant or relieved. Instead, she just felt tired. Jinwoo arrived home 20 minutes later, having been alerted to the situation. He found Jasmine in the garden, staring out at the city. Are you all right? He asked, sitting beside her. I think so. It's strange. I spent so long being afraid of him. And when he was finally here, all I felt was sad. Sad for the man he could have been, sad for the time I wasted, sad that it had to end this way. That's because you're healing. You're seeing the situation clearly now, without the fear clouding your judgment. He's really gone? This is really over? He's really gone. He'll be on a plane to London by morning, and my people will make sure he stays there. You're free, Jasmine. Truly free. Jasmine leaned against Jinwoo's shoulder, letting the reality of those words sink in. Free. She'd been so afraid for so long that she'd forgotten what freedom felt like. What do we do now? She asked. Now? We live. We build a life together if that's what you want. We figure out how to balance my world with your need for normalcy. We take it one day at a time. I want that. All of it. Jinwoo wrapped his arm around her, and they sat in comfortable silence as the sun set over Los Angeles, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Jasmine thought about the journey that had brought her here, the wrong number text that had changed everything, the courage it had taken to leave, the strength she'd found in the most unexpected place. She thought about the woman she'd been, small and afraid, and convinced she deserved the pain. And she thought about the woman she was becoming, strong and whole and capable of choosing her own path. It hadn't been easy. It had been terrifying and painful and complicated in ways she never could have imagined. But she'd survived. More than that, she'd flourished. As the last light faded from the sky, Jasmine made herself a promise. She would never again make herself small for someone else's comfort. She would never again accept crumbs when she deserved the whole feast. She would never again forget her own worth. And with Jinwoo beside her, facing whatever challenges their unconventional life might bring, she knew she'd never have to.